Cut.
Take two.
Welcome to the SharePoint Dev Weekly. This is episode 5. And this time, we had 3 first episodes without any visitors. Last time we have AC and Connells visiting us. And this time we have, Mikael Svensson, from, Sweden. No, just kidding. Norway.
Somewhere up north in Europe.
Somewhere in the Northern Europe, so Northern Hemisphere, I don't know. But what's up with you, Mikael? So who are you, what do you do, and let's actually start from there and kind of a random chat.
So I'm the CTO of Puzzlepart, the logo behind here. We're a consultant company doing Office 365 stuff. Yeah. So being a CTO, what does that mean? It means I care about the stuff I do, right? I tell the
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, well, I tell the others that SharePoint Framework 1.6 is released, so yeah. But most of the time I do a lot of dev stuff and I do advising. I do whatever's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, people who've been working on SharePoint Dev have been knowing you since like ages because you were the Mikael search guy. You were the search guy.
Yeah.
Well, he is still, right?
Well, he's still the search. Well, there's other search guys out there as well, but no doubt, not taking anything away from them. I'm not taking anything away from Mikael. So.
I try not. Well, I don't do that much search, but I had a search post the other day. Like my last blog post was about search.
Exactly.
Again.
Like, how can you search for a URL in a document? Like, why would you ever want to do that? Because if there's a link from a document to another document, that link is already available through backward links. So.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
Anyway. Yes, but if you had to, that's the way to do it.
Well, someone asked, and I provided an answer. Right, that's
the way it works, right?
And
that's actually a great reminder on how people actually blog. So that's by the way a quick reminder on how does people find time actually do blogging. The answer is actually that you work on things, and then whenever you solve the thing, you just did it and push it up. And
actually, if I get a challenge, I start writing the blog post right away. Sometimes it doesn't pan out, but if it pans out, the post is there. So it's documentation or whatever I do anyway.
Exactly.
So how many drafts do you have?
Well, actually, only 3. So I don't have.
Well, I mean, with drafts, the things that didn't pan out.
Well, I delete them, so I don't keep.
Not quite fair there, but yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sometimes I post and say, this doesn't work. So I do the whole thing and it didn't work. Still a post.
Gone. Next.
Yeah.
So what have you been doing this week, by the way, Mikael? So from a SharePoint Dev perspective, except blogging, obviously. But
I'm doing an intranet with a customer, and I'm using the PnP React search web part. So I added some stuff there, upgraded to 1.6. Been talking to Waldeck a little bit about getting that upgraded since it's using the Plus beta. We've upgraded some other Google Analytics extension now to 1.6. So it just installs itself on all sites automatically. So a lot of SharePoint framework. That's what I've been doing the most.
Yep.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So
Yeah,
what about you, Waldeck? Yeah, sorry. I made a button. Sorry.
I made
back on that.
Yeah.
You made a button.
A button web part.
A bot
web part, not a button web part.
Yeah, there is no modern button web part. I mean, if you want a button to click to do something, there is no button. So we made a button web part.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I'll shut up.
Brilliant. Well, on my end, I worked the last few days on upgrading the SharePoint Starter Kit to 1.6.
Yep. And
for that, I used the CLI, the Office 365 CLI. Because we support, so I think it was day or 2 days after SPFX 1.6 came out, we added support for the upgrade to that.
Yep. And
using the findings, I was able to get the code quickly over. Unfortunately, it turned out that there are quite a few quirks. Like there are a few changes in Office UI Fabric React that is not backwards compatible with the version of Fabric that we had in 1.4.1 even, because Starter Kit was still on 1.4.1.
Yep.
And there was also a weird issue that tripped me for a while. I got a bunch of TypeScript errors reporting double types for all HTTP clients. So SP HTTP client, MS Graph HTTP client, and HTTP client. And the only way to solve that was to pave node modules and the log file, restore dependencies, and it all worked.
Yeah.
No logic in that, but yeah.
But
if all fails, if all fails, pave node modules, pave your log file, restore dependencies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that's always the device, right, when you upgrade.
Well, no. Actually not, because if you upgrade packages, you should be good, right? Because NPM from version, if I recall correctly, 5 automatically clears your dependencies. Yeah. So that shouldn't be required.
But
yeah, that's what I've heard.
I've seen that as well. Every time if I upgrade at least SharePoint Framework, I just nuke the folder.
Pave nuke, yeah.
Yeah, go get some coffee and continue working.
Oh, it isn't that bad nowadays, is it?
Yeah. I got a slow machine.
Yeah, Windows, right?
Yeah.
And Wes, are you? Any news?
Well, nothing major news. Well, we had obviously the monthly summary is always a fun thing to write. It takes ages of time. We had the monthly community call, which was a really cool one, on Tuesday. We had which by the way, Waldek provided a great solution, which we're going to do a separate blog post on that one pretty soon. Ignite preparations, taking insanely amount of time, obviously, making sure that everything is aligned, our demo tenants and everything else is aligned. We've been having interesting meetings around the throttling capabilities. I can't actually disclose anything, but we're finally getting that one kind of a moving, so to say. So we're looking into now. Well, it is there. It's fully the throttling is documented, but we're looking into further, let's say, do an evolution.
Optimizing it.
Throttling clarifications and how things are actually working in the future. More on that after Ignite. So this is cool. Most likely in Ignite. There is actually a session from Navin around the throttling. So we'll see what will be actually mentioned there. But still,
do you think that there will be enough place in the room, or will people be throttled at the door?
Well, yeah. Sorry, 429. So
yeah, there's not enough place in this room. All right, so you've done all of that on Monday, the rest of the week.
Yes. Oh yeah. Anyway, so and obviously, well, we've been planning the PMP sessions and the SharePoint framework sessions in the Ignite. So we will have a PMP session with me and Elio and Paula. And then we will have a nice 20-minute theater session together with Erwin around the transformation from classic to the modern experiences. And once again, Erwin couldn't make it this call, so that's why Mikael is here. So it is what it is. Yeah. But there's cool stuff absolutely coming in the PMP session in the Ignite. But let's actually go to the slides or to our screen. So I'll show some stuff from here, and we can start going through the findings of the week. So let me share my screen, and you should be able to see what I'm sharing. Hopefully, confirm.
Not yet.
It is.
Yes, it is.
You got it. Okay.
Yes.
So let's actually, so this is first the SharePoint devlog. So we are getting more and more active in here. One of the things, but we're still, it's in my endless post-it notes on my table, is to come up, is to do a blog post really, opening up this blog post and blog also for MVPs. So more details on that one later, which is pretty cool. So, as an MVP, you are able to then write a official story on your stuff or a article, and we can push it out in here. I will absolutely pinpoint that to be an MVP post. But anyway, on here you can also find, for example, our SharePoint development platform in Ignite 2018, and this lists all of the breakout sessions related on SharePoint dev, and the things which are touching that. So this is just purely SharePoint. For example, we have the craft side of the SharePoint story, so OneDrive and SharePoint files, collaborations, sites, and listen sites, what you can do, and latest stuff there. There's actually super cool stuff from Darren and Jeremy's session. Luca and Pat will have a session around the latest in SharePoint framework. So where are we from the promises perspective, what we did in SPC, and what will be in 1.7, 1.8, and super cool stuff, cool demos there as well. Then the PMP open source session with me, Paolo, and Elio, we have actually something also called like holy schmoly, that's pretty cool stuff to be announced there as well. And then obviously Office UI Fabric, there's a site provisioning session with True and Vlad, and then a customer kind of oriented session with Eamon and Richard. But in general, and obviously there's some few Ethereum sessions as well. We will have a SharePoint developer booths available. It's the PMP and SharePoint framework booth is now combined, so we basically have engineering and MVPs in the same booth helping on the questions. So please drop by if you're in Ignite. Cool. Other stuff. So other topics which I want to actually mention. So first of all, Paolo had a pretty cool video around upgrading SharePoint Framework Solutions, and that is the dog. SharePoint Framework Solutions 1.6. And while we're doing this, let me get back on the video in a second. And here's our Office dog. Yes, who's fighting. She's now 11 weeks, so not quite understanding when I'm actually working. So yes, I'm going to throw you outside of the office right now. You're actually, damn, fighting really hard. So actually get you away. There we go.
Thank you for watching. This was the news of this week.
Yes.
That's a lost his finger.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Okay, so Paolo has a nice video on upgrading to SharePoint Framework 1.6. So he walks through the steps and what it actually means. Now, there is a Office 365 CLI tooling available also on helping this one. So Paolo explains this through from what it happens if you do this manually. The Office 365 CLI Baldeck, it gives you the list of things, right? What you need to actually do when you run.
Correct. The findings, the things that you have to do, change in code, the commands that you have to run to upgrade. So we basically try to cover as much as we can, simplifying the work and then allowing you to focus on the things that are specific to your code that we couldn't simply know up front.
Yeah. Awesome tool, and the only reason I use CLI instead of PowerShell on that.
Thank you. Not sure if that's a compliment or not, but
it is. Because it made me install the
CLI. It's the only
CLI.
reason.
Well, it made me install the CLI.
Well, you're a user. Yes, you're a user. Thank you very much.
Yes. So that's the right attitude. Come on. It doesn't matter if you're using CLI or PowerShell. The key point is to make stuff happen, right? That's really the key.
Yes.
Anyway, so Paolo walks through the thing, and he actually walks through a example upgrade of an example solution from 1.4.1 to 1.6, which is pretty cool. So explaining what are the steps to make this happen. Why would you do that? Like Paolo mentioned actually on the video as well, we've been covering this. The craft side of the story is now G8. So that's really a number one thing in here. Technically, the tenant-wide extensions option does work for other versions as well, because as long as you use the tenant-wide extensions, the list option directly from App Catalog, it actually works for previous versions as well. So there's no version dependence on that. So just been pointing that one. Now, on other topics, so let's actually go here from David Warner. David is a super helpful guy. Posting video blogs, and also one of the things what we actually covered, I think, in episode 1, which is that he's always like 2 minutes after our community call. There's a awesome summary on what was actually covered in the community call, which nowadays means that I really need to start paying attention what I'm actually saying, because everything is quoted.
There is somebody watching. Yeah, there is somebody watching.
Yeah, best of
be careful. Yes. As I said, and then I get an email from Jeff and Adam saying that, well,
Do not say that.
Yes, why did you say that?
Fake
now, okay. But the latest one from David is around the column formatting and getting started, and good video blog around how to start from scratch in Visual Studio Code. So how to get started on the column formatting stuff. Good stuff, and so please keep on following on David as well. Now, and references for the documentation and GitHub as well. Now, then we have this one guy, which I don't know, he keeps on publishing this random things on every single week. Right, Mikael? So,
always challenges to overcome, right?
Yes, there's always good stories, and Mikael, well, you're really old school, been around the SharePoint for a long time, so you're really digging deep under the hood as well. But this one is really interesting because this is something which we haven't actually documented, and it's around modifying terms and term store using app-only tokens. So basically using app-only access, but still being able to modify the term store and terms in the term store. There is a trick behind of this story, and let me actually zoom in. I think the zoom should work here. If you set an app at SharePoint, let's see if I can actually make this work. Where's my mouse? There it is. If you set as app at SharePoint as the administrator for your term store, you are able to write terms in the term store.
So to ask two things for those folks who are not really that deep into that piece of the platform. So I assume that out of the box you cannot do it. But B, why would you want to do it?
Yeah, so out of the box you can only read stuff. You might have an automated solution which goes and maybe create terms or update terms, custom properties, whatever. You need to write something back to the term.
Well, let's say a classic, enterprise scenario would be that you have a certain managed metadata terms which are used in on-premises. You want to replicate the official terms in every single night to online. That's a back-end process which is running in Azure, say web job or whatever, and you want that to replicate. And in the past, you've been forced to use a service account approach because the app only is not supported. Now, this isn't actually an old workaround, but we haven't actually documented this, so we will now absolutely get this documented because this is a good discussion point. Officially, nothing what is not officially documented in SharePoint docs is not supported. So we need to remember that if you find a random API, or do screen scraping on somewhere and you find something, if it's not documented, it is not officially supported.
So in other words, if the API goes away, you're not entitled to complain.
Correct. So sure, but you can always take the risk of still using the API or using the scenario. But what if we just remove it for whatever reason?
Change it or
change it or whatever. So, and I'm sure on our side we need to learn on documenting things better as well.
Yeah, for my scenario, it was very low risk because I was creating a script and I had a multi-factor auth admin user, which just didn't work with the script at all because it popped up dialog boxes when I kept connecting to sites like, this doesn't work, I need to use app only.
Yeah. Good finding. Absolutely.
Or OAuth. Well, yeah, even in OAuth, you couldn't do it. No, if you have you can do it non-interactively, correct, for MFA.
Yeah.
Correct. So technically, if you would have actually stored the refresh token and then of the previous thing, and then you refresh that to
user, and then they change password and everything breaks because your refresh token doesn't work anymore now.
So app only.
This is way better.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, app only is absolutely something which we need to keep on supporting in future. App only does make a lot of sense, and this is a great way of handling that app only permission for taxonomies in SharePoint Online. Cool. Moving on different topics. Tricky SharePoint. This is Alex, so using Vue.js in SharePoint Framework applications for part 1, what's and whys. And this is a nice series on how to actually start using Vue, what's the value of using Vue. And actually, Alex has created also an Yeoman extension to provision or scaffold a SharePoint Framework solutions using Yeoman templates.
Very cool.
So really if you are into Vue, you could use the generator that he created to more easily start a project and create the artifacts, right?
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Now,
do you know if there are any plans to merge generator that he created with the generator that we have now as a part of PnP?
So the PnP generator was announced on this Tuesday, so 2 days ago. So because we're recording this on Thursday. So and the intention, we've been having discussions with Alex, and the intention is to merge. So basically, get Stefan and Alex work together and get the Vue.js stuff merged to the PnP one And then Alex and Stefan can lead the work together around the one unified open source community tooling, which extends the out-of-the-box Yeoman template structure. So because that helps everybody, rather than having multiple different Yeoman generators here and there, let's combine, let's have consistency, install one extension, and then you're good to go.
Like, yo, yo, yo.
Yo! Anyway. Moving on topic. So,
Hopefully not awkward.
no, not at all. Not at all. So apply SharePoint Framework extensions to SharePoint hub sites using PnP PowerShell. And this is a really interesting topic because this relates on the SharePoint Framework. This relates obviously on the hub sites and the direction where we're heading. And then this How do I pronounce that name? Chihuahua?
Not Chihuahua.
No, definitely not. I do apologize on that. Now, has created a nice blog post. How do we activate a SharePoint Framework extension explicitly in sites associated to a hub site? So this is pretty cool. It does require that your extension has been deployed using the tenant scoped option. Not the tenant-wide deployment, but using tenant scoped option, so that the extension technically is available for every single site. And what we're doing here is that then we're basically looping in all of the sites which are associated to the hub site. And the key is actually following. We are adding a user custom action component to the user custom action collection of that particular site collection or a site. So in this case, just out of curiosity, actually, it is a scoped site, which is one really big thing to notice here as well. So what it means is, let me actually do that, because it's a super important thing. We can do that, and we can do that. So what's really important, and the difference here is that this is what actually happens typically if you associate an extension to the site using the feature framework by an installation. What happens is that we create actually an entry to the user custom action collection of a site, which is a web object. So what happens here is that we're basically doing exactly the same. We're saying client side component ID equals that extension unique GUID. But then we do something really cool, and we set it in the scope of site. So whenever somebody creates a subsite in the site collection, it will actually have the same extension because basically it's registered in the site collection level. So that's really cool, and that's a nice way of putting things. Now that we have 1.6 out with the tenant-wide extension, if you want to have consistency based on web template, or I want to push this extension to all of the sites, you can use the tenant-wide deployment of things. But if you want to have and same extension available to all of the sites associated to one specific hub site, this could be one option to actually make that happen.
With the caveat that should the association to hub site change, then you have to reiterate over all sites because the association have changed, right? And there is no trigger on that. So that script would need to run periodically.
True.
Intervals, just to ensure that the hub sites or the sites attached to hub site have the same experience.
True. You're absolutely correct on that. Now, there's few options of actually making that even smoother. So you are able to associate a site script to a hub site which will be executed whenever a site collection is associated to a hub site. That's a relatively
But if it's removed, there is nothing being triggered, right?
So that would actually tackle when the site is getting added on the hub site. Now, whenever Sean Squires actually demonstrated this few times actually in our community calls, there was already raised quite a few times that, well, what about supporting removing? So executing a script whenever you get removed from a hub site, because that's precisely what you're saying, Waldek. That's when you would actually then clean up the association away. Then we would need to have also a script action which gives the support of cleaning out the extension as well.
Yeah.
So one step at a time, I think we're heading to the right direction. But this is a good example of how do you activate the extension in a certain set of sites in a specific scope, which is 100% supported as well.
Sounds very much like feature activation and deactivation.
Well, it
You
is.
mean the site designs and TypeScript? Yeah,
Yeah.
true. But the big difference of that one is that that's actually in JSON, not in XML, and feature
Oh,
XML. So JSON is hip.
JSON is the modern feature XML, right?
Yeah, that's yes. To be fair, if you're super hip and super hip and hop, you would use YAML.
No. So that is already old.
Yeah.
What?
Then you would use the GraphQL and not REST. That is really cool.
GraphQL with YAML. Wouldn't
Yeah.
that be the?
Oh yes.
It's not about making stuff happen. It's about what tech you actually use. Oh, wait.
All right.
A fashion statement, basically, right?
Exactly. Okay, we're spending way too much time on that discussion. Moving on things, so Werthmann had a great summary of his older blog posts, which are now updated to 1.6 level. And this is around using the Azure AD HTTP client and calling securely, basically, custom web APIs hosted in Azure from SharePoint Framework Solutions. And that is seriously the holy grail of SharePoint Framework and SharePoint Online, because this way you can surface even your on-premises data in the front page of your SharePoint Online landing pages or whatever you want. So the opportunities are just endless. If I only would have time to have...
You have time. I mean, you just said what you've done on Monday. I still haven't heard what you've done the rest of the week, so I assume you've been doing that.
We'll come up with cool scenarios and samples on all of this stuff. So, and Werthmann, by the way, congratulations on your recent MVP status as well. Well deserved. I finally got it, so all good. Now, moving on things, this one was interesting, which we wanted to actually discuss as well. So, announcing Azure pipelines with unlimited CI/CD minutes for open source. So, basically, unlimited continuous integration and continuous deployment minutes for open source projects from the Azure DevOps, which was used to be Visual Studio,
Team Services.
Azure Team
Yeah,
Services.
so there was TFS, then VSTS, now Azure DevOps.
Yeah. Marketing changes of the names, but anyway, so but there's an unlimited continuous integration and continuous deployment minutes in the VSTS in the Azure DevOps for people to take advantage. And I think that's a highly beneficial thing, because now you can associate, if you have a SharePoint Framework Solutions in GitHub, you can then automatically get them deployed and to your tenants. Elio as an example, and in the PMP built definitions repo, we have examples built by Elio and Vincent around how to automate, for example, deployment of an SharePoint Framework Solution to your application catalog, and then getting that even automatically available in the page using the PMP provisioning engine on every single day. That's actually a pretty cool demo, which we should get in some of the community calls. So just a wink if somebody wants to do that. Just a refresh using this one, because that would be really cool. Every single morning you have the latest build available with all of the web parts on the welcome page of the demo tenant, so you can actually start testing. So.
And I guess that in a way, haven't we been doing that for the starter kit?
Yes, we have.
There you go. So we can actually show what we have built. There you go. Or we can have others show what they have built and compare.
Yeah. And that's how you learn, because the fact that we built it using some sort of a way doesn't mean that that's the right way or wrong way, because there's always the gray area on certain discussions. There's no right or wrong.
Plus, different companies have different requirements, different setups, different things of doing things, processes. Yeah.
Oh, there's processes? Well, maybe not in our company, at least.
Don't go there.
Can of worms. The last one, using Flow to replace SharePoint time jobs. This is actually a good reminder of things. So, back in a few years ago, we started promoting, let's say, using Azure Web Jobs as the replacement for the SharePoint time jobs. Technically, what we're looking for is having a scheduled action to be executed in certain time frame or in an iterative way or recurrently. And then that action or a code to be able to access SharePoint Online and do modifications and then go back. So basically exactly like a timer job on premises. So except potential API differences. But nowadays, when the REST APIs, CSM APIs are getting better and better, and Graph APIs are getting better and better, I think we're getting to the level of not missing that much. So, which is pretty cool. But good article from
April Dunham.
April. Yes. April Dunham. Here we go. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, there it is. It's underneath the by.
It's exactly where it's supposed to be.
Sorry, April.
But hey,
It is.
It's in the byline.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Oh, that's why it's called the byline.
Yes, it is.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Now you know, Vesa.
Yes. Okay. It's been pretty busy weeks. Luckily, Ignite is soon.
Yeah.
Luckily, Ignite is soon. Cool. Anything else what we want to actually talk about? I don't have anything, we don't have anything from here. There was quite a few submissions, obviously, in the SP Dev Weekly. Some of the blog posts are from earlier time. We want to concentrate on what's happening always on the recent week. But please remember to tag with hashtag SP Dev Weekly, so we're able to find what has been written. And you can just write your blog post and then do a promotion of that in social media, and then do a reply and tag within SPDev Weekly, and we'll get it in our feeds. So we can take it out, we can promote your stuff, because sharing your learnings is really the key, right?
Absolutely.
Anything else what we want to talk about?
I think green plans. I think we've talked enough already.
Way too much. And we have Erwin, obviously.
Yes, he is back, so that's always good.
Yeah. I think that's it for this one then. Any final things or jokes that we want to close out? Mikael, you usually have good jokes. You need to remember that this is a family program.
Yeah.
So concentrate.
No, I'm actually I'm getting quite hungry. I need to go have lunch. Everyone else have already got lunch. Well, probably saw them coming back. So
there we go.
I need
Our
food,
guest
no
is
jokes.
about to leave. Yeah, our guest is about to leave, so.
We need to close out.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, guys, and thank you for watchers. Thank you, everybody who's watching this. Please give us feedback. If you're missing your stuff, like I said, please let us know. We want to promote what community is doing. Community is doing on a SharePoint Dev platform in every single week. The next session and next request will be in a week from here. We, by the way, are potentially rescheduling releasing of these things to Tuesday, aren't we? Yes, we did.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So most likely starting from Ignite. So we're going to skip the Ignite week most likely, and then we'll come back right after Ignite to talk about the latest in Ignite and the announcements. So we'll record on Monday and push it out on Tuesday after Ignite. But one more in Friday, and then after Ignite we align on the new schedule. But thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, Mikael, for being our guest this week, and we'll come up with new stuff in a week. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.